All right, everybody. I think we're rolling. Today we're here with Aiden Rowan. Thanks for coming and doing the podcast with us. Aidan is a really rising star in the Republican Party in New York. The first time we met was a really long time ago. You were doing a Trump rally.
That's right. Yeah, that was probably 5-6 years ago. Trump's first term, probably 2018, I want to say, maybe 2019, but it was a long time ago. It was in New York City, right by Trump Tower. It was great. It was a great turnout.
He had already been elected?
Yeah, he had been elected.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't remember because it really was
You know
a long time ago.
I had planned that for 5 or 6 months with a good group of people, and the day that it was planned, it came out that there was no Russian collusion. So it worked. That was March 23rd, and it was the greatest. It was the greatest rally ever because everybody was so fired up. It was fantastic.
Let me tell you something. I couldn't believe that an 18-year-old or however old you were at that time. I can't believe that.
17. Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, for a kid to do something like that, there must have been something like 800 people there, 900 people.
There was. Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an official Trump rally. He wasn't there, but it was a Trump rally nonetheless. And everyone was really fired up.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. I had that place packed, and we really had worked on it. And what we did was we started. I started with just making an event page and sharing it into some of the groups on Facebook that I had already been in, and that blossomed into people reaching out wanting to get involved. And then I had people from all around the state. I had people from New Jersey, people from Buffalo, New York City, everywhere. And then we started to reach out Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New Jersey, and all the surrounding states to try and bring people in. And there was buses of people coming in from other states, which is what made it such a success. So we didn't just keep it New York based. We really branched out to Bergen, to Rockland, to Westchester County. But when we started going into Pennsylvania, we were really getting some traction. So that was a great event.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, some decent names there also. Was the guy from Attili's Gym there? The one that Murphy was going after during COVID and shutting him down? Was that guy there? Who was there? You had one or two big speakers.
Yeah, we had Brandon Strzok there from Walkaway. At that time, that was really blowing up, and he was doing a great job, and he still is, but doing a great job at getting started. And he was there to speak. And we had a lady from Harlem, Barbara from Harlem, who was, I think she had wrote a book, but she was a great speaker. She had spoken at the Queens Village Republican events. She had spoken at Vicky Palladino's club. And she really was a great speaker. And then I think we had a former congressman there from Staten Island, if I'm not mistaken. But we had quite a few people there. And then we had the New York March for Life folks there as well. So Joni Lucas from that crowd had spoke at our event. And we had really all walks of life in the house. So, and the police officers were great. They gave us that whole stretch, the whole block.
Did you have to get permits for that or organize it? I'm sure, because just the security.
Yeah.
You're wearing a MAGA hat in New York City. That's going to be, trouble.
Yeah, it is, and we did. So, and that's what I was totally unknown to all of that when I started it. So I started it, and I said, people just get together on the street, whatever. Then it actually blossomed into at the time, future Congressman George Santos had reached out and wanted to get involved in the club. I didn't know him. He had been involved in Queens. He reached out, and he was the one that came to us and said, here's how you do this. You have to go through and get these permits from this precinct. And I had gone to like 3 or 4 precincts in New York City just to get the right permit applications. And he had told us, this is what you have to do. So from what I had known of him, he was such a straightforward and by the books guy. And he had been involved in that process. So we had good guidance from people down in the city of where to go and who to talk to about getting the right permits, sound permits, permits to get the blocks on the street. And he was part of that at the time, which was a pretty interesting he ended up getting elected to Congress and then being a national news story for 6 months. So a lot of stuff came out of that event.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. How does somebody who's 17 years old? I remember when I was 17, I was outside playing sports. I was watching TV. I had like homework to do. I was doing my extracurricular activities. I had no interest in politics or news or anything like that. Like, how does somebody that age, get so fired up and so passionate to actually do something like that? Where did it start for you?
I guess that started, well, it must have started. Well, I was really interested in Trump when he first announced it. I was probably 15 years old, and I'd come home from Ireland. I was going visiting family there, and I'd seen like the state of the country we were in, and not so much like the state of, I didn't know too much about government and all that, but the state of just the social structure in our country, which was just plummeting. There was almost no hope. People out there had zero respect for elders, zero respect for, our each other. So things were heading downhill. So I went to Ireland, I'd come home, and he announces. And I said, what a great place Ireland was. Very liberal country, but what a great place. Everybody there is so kind, so nice. What a place that would be to live. And I was 15. What did I know? But I come home and, I see Donald Trump announces he's running for president. I was sitting on my grandmother's couch. And, really give hope to somebody who has to buy a house in this country, has to, get a job, provide a living for a family. And you see that and you start thinking about things around that age, but not too much because you're still living with your parents. So he gives a little hope. And then, I followed him for a little while. I always liked him, had, my signs, got a shirt. Then 2018 comes around and Andrew Cuomo was up for re-election. So I couldn't stand Andrew Cuomo because of all the nasty things he had said about Trump. Now, I didn't know a thing about the governorship, the state Senate offices, the state assembly offices. So I seen all these signs out there and I had no clue who these people were. So Andrew Cuomo's up and I find the guy that's running against him, who was Mark Molinaro, who turned congressman. Mark ran a good campaign, didn't have much money because there wasn't much of an investment in 2018 in New York, nonetheless. So I helped him. I put out signs for him. I started attending functions in my home county. And that blossomed into where I am today. I work for a congressman. I ran for town council. I'm on the executive board of my county Republican Party. And I do all sorts of things with the party. I go down to CPAC every year. I go to all these conventions.
You're on the town council now?
No. I lost my primary by about 190 votes or so. Okay. And so I wish I could have won that election, but I ended up becoming good friends with the people I primaried and helped them beat the Democrats. So
let me rewind though. But before you go on, let me rewind. Because you're mentioning a lot of things that affected you, like your perspective of the country, which I'm aligned with, obviously. I see the same things, but as a kid, was there some sort of personal experience or maybe something your parents were going through? Like how does somebody who's 15, 16, where do you see the things that you're mentioning?
My father was in the United States Marines. So that obviously I knew my whole life and was very proud of. He never talked about it because he never, was never really in war, but, he was in the Marines and he loved the Marines, but, he never wanted to brag about that or anything. So, but I knew. So I was always proud of that. Always proud to be American, and that was one of my core values was that he instilled in me. My mother was a nurse, she's still a nurse. So, that caring for people was another thing. But she was always a conservative-minded person who, even today, she goes to events and things like that. My father, he didn't even vote. So I got him to vote. I started getting him to vote.
Really?
Which was, I don't think he ever voted until I got involved in this. So he wanted to help me out. But I couldn't tell you what drew me to it. I guess what started to draw me into it when I started to pay attention and get involved in the political spectrum was that it's always changing. There's something new every day. When you read the news, it's different than yesterday and you forget about yesterday. even locally.
Right.
It's something new every hour. Something's shaken out in politics in the county scheme of things. And, it's changing minute by minute. And that to me keeps me interested because I can't do the same thing over and over again. I can't sit there and, repeat everything day after day. So for me, politics really draws me in because it's just so different. I mean, who in the right mind, but really who in the world has the experiences that somebody who is involved has in politics, because it's so different. You meet all sorts of people, some great, others not so great, but it's interesting and I like it. But
have you been watching the news lately?
Yeah, I've been watching quite a bit. I get my news mostly just scrolling through X and scrolling on Instagram or Facebook. I don't have time to sit and watch it on the couch and watch TV, but I do watch quite a bit.
Look, we got to mention it just because, I'm sure everybody's seen it, but that blow up between Zelensky and Trump in the Oval Office. What's your take on that?
I call it a tweet, but I saw an X post. You can hate Putin and you can hate Zelensky at the same time. It doesn't mean that just because you hate Zelensky doesn't mean that you love Putin.
Right.
I can't stand Putin, but Zelensky, you walk into the White House, but you're sitting down with the leader of the free world and his right hand, and the requests being made, and not even the thanks. I mean, he show a little respect. You're in the United States of America. They have funded you throughout this whole war, and you come in demanding more. I think he's disgraceful, but the President Trump and Vice President Vance, what a great vice president he is. The way he started that conversation was perfect. The way they're handling themselves is great because they don't.
I think so.
Yeah, they don't. I think it's better than the first term because they know.
Oh my God, 100%.
He doesn't care. He doesn't have to face voters. He doesn't care. He's going in and he's doing exactly what needs to be done. And talking to these world leaders is part of that. We're losing so much money on things for people who don't even respect that we're giving it money, resources. It's ridiculous. So
you know what I was saying? I was saying to a friend of mine, we all wanted so bad that second term in 2020.
Yeah. I'm glad we did.
And I mean, I don't know what you think about 2020. I thought that it was, stolen.
Yeah.
But regardless, however you felt about it, I mean, some things I guess are just meant to be because the way they're coming out now, I mean, this is unbelievable. You would have never seen this in 2020. They are just, balls out, flamethrower, just, exactly. Taking it to everybody.
That's right.
And I mean, my thing on it, when I saw Zelensky starting to condescend, JD.
What's the condescending? Attitude.
Well, what the hell is the point of that? Like, what? Who the hell do you think you are? And it's like, do you even want peace? You know what I mean? We're helping you. You're coming here because we're trying to promote peace. We're trying to get Putin to the table. And then you condescend my number two, and you're calling Putin in front of the entire world in the media. You're calling him a killer and a bastard and a piece of shit and all this stuff. It's like, how are you going to get him to come to the other side of the negotiating table with that sort of behavior? That's what I saw. So when JD got triggered, and Trump was actually pretty calm. He's like, okay, I'm going to let the number two handle this. But like when Zelensky was acting like that towards JD, and JD like kind of, snapped back at him, I was actually pretty proud of, not to sound facetious or anything like that, but I was really proud of him.
I was as well. And you know what? I was proud of President Trump they conducted themselves very well, and I was proud of JD for that. But you're right. The condescending attitude coming from Zelensky is not when you go in and when you're a kid and you're asking your parents for money, you don't go in acting like a jerk. You go in really nice and kind and ask for what you want and thankful. it's sort of the same situation, except he's asking for a lot more money, and what I was going to say was about 2020 was at the time I was upset that what had happened in the election.
Yeah, of course.
What obviously I want a Republican to win always. That's just my main goal. I any Republican, if you can win a liberal part of a district, that's great. And I don't care. Obviously I want more conservative Republicans in office, but I also embrace the moderate end of the party because we need them. There are moderates out there in districts that Harris won, and they're the reason we have the Speaker of the House right now.
Right.
And those people shouldn't be forgotten either. But 2020, it's almost a blessing that he wasn't going to be president for 4 years. Yeah, the last 4 years were terrible under Joe Biden, but look what's happening now. Right now, if we had won 2020, we'd be sitting under a Democrat presidency right now, undoing the last 4 years.
Maybe. I wouldn't say probably. I would say it's a strong maybe.
The country goes back and forth.
Yeah. Especially with the midterms and things like that.
Yeah.
Usually if someone's holding office or like a Republican gets elected, then during the midterms, the Democrats take it. Then if a Democrat is the president, then, the Republicans usually take it in the midterms.
That's been the history in the past. 2022 didn't show that. It should have been an overwhelming victory for Republicans. But what you're seeing now is an interest in politics like never before from everybody. I don't think you'll ever see a wave like 2010, 2006 for the Democrats, to use that as an example. Again, people are in tune. People are voting. People are voting more often. People are voting in local elections. This year, people are voting. You're not seeing people sit them out because, we have the White House. People
they're
voting.
Fired up.
Yes.
You know why? Because they were forced to sit their ass home and, they couldn't go to work. Yeah. Like everything. I mean, that term just exposed everything that was bad about the American Communist Party, I call.
Look, the 4 years under Joe Biden was a blessing in disguise. Really. It was terrible, but it exposed everything that they've done, everything that the Democratic Party has done over the last 50 years, went to shit. Uh-huh. The American people realized that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris over 4 years created more Republicans than any presidency in the past. Besides Trump, of course.
100%.
Which is
it's like thanks to them. And
thanks to them.
I said the same thing with Obama. We got Trump because of Obama and everything that he did. Yeah. But people
they got Obama because of George Bush.
Right.
It is a cycle. It is 2020. I do think there was imperfections in the voting system. That whole thing. Do I think Joe Biden won?
Hell no.
Probably, I do.
I don't think that at all.
What I think is that it was made easy for him to win because of how quickly they can change laws.
You mean it was enabled?
I think it was enabled by people. Pennsylvania extending voting hours. Ridiculous. You can't extend voting hours in the middle of an election. That helped Democrats get to the polls. Vote by mail. These vote by mail forms. I don't think vote by mail is a bad thing. I don't know why Trump. I disagree with Trump on a few things politically, not governmentally. I think he does a great job when he's in the presidency. But politically, and I think Susie Wiles has done a phenomenal job of crafting his campaign. Mm-hmm. In the past, 2020, where I disagreed with him on was, I don't care how somebody votes. If you get your vote in and it's counted, good, great. You have mail-in ballots in 2020, a highest number we've ever seen before. Do I think there were stuffing ballots? No. Do I think that we should have gotten on top of that? Absolutely. If we got on top of that, there was, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but there was more outstanding Republican absentee ballots, vote by mail ballots in the state of Georgia than he had lost the state by. But they didn't return it. They felt disenfranchised. They felt like, Trump told me not to return it. Look what happened when he embraced it. We won. We started to win these races. Georgia we could have won that easily. 13,000 votes.
I half agree with you. I half disagree with you. I'll tell you where I agree with you that we should have mail-in. Yeah. Mail-in should be embraced, and we're getting on top of that.
Yeah.
Okay. But what we shouldn't have where I disagree with you. I think a lot of people, they forget that it was unsolicited mail-in. Okay.
Yeah.
So
No
all these
excuse,
states, all these states, they just carpet bomb their state.
Yeah.
You know, without the state legislature actually approving that law. You know, these governors and lieutenant governors, they went and they did executive orders and they usurped state legislature. You're not allowed to do that.
New Jersey was a great example of that. I mean, they literally just blanketly mailed out absentee ballots to everybody.
And so for me, that's stealing.
Yes.
Because where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that there was a lot of nefarious activity going on besides the mail-in and all that stuff. Look, it doesn't have to be the topic of this podcast, but you're just touching it. Where there's smoke, there's fire. That's where I was coming from.
Yeah.
I just,
could see.
I don't believe the 81 million. I just don't.
I do because of, look at New Jersey for an example. New Jersey, they literally just mailed the ballots out. How easy was it for Democrats to vote? New Jersey's a Democratic state. How easy did they make it for Democrats to vote? You don't want it to be easy for them to vote. When the Democrat governors and lawmakers changed the laws to make it easy for them to vote, no wonder there was 81 million votes for him. California, 12 million, I think.
No, but again, what I'm saying is how they did that was illegal.
Oh, I think it was illegal too. Yeah.
Okay, yes. so then it's stolen.
I think in
because you're enabling the illegal activity. So if you're not going through the proper channels, hey, look, had the state legislature said, hey, this is what we're going to do because of COVID, then fine. You know, then Republicans are going to do that also. Yeah. But if the governors are just going to do that and Republicans are going to be like, say, hey, wait, that's against the law. But then you're doing it. You're just rolling with it. And you're using the time on your side because there's not enough time to go ahead and, battle it legally. Yeah. Then, it becomes a cluster.
Exactly. Yeah, it did. And I was just thinking that, that whole election was totally screwed up. Do I think he got those votes? Yeah, I do. But do I think the way he got them was truthful and right? No. But I do think that people bubbled his name in. I do think that you're looking at, people say all the mail-ins were for Joe Biden. Well, duh, that's what he was telling them to do. And that's what Trump was telling people not to do. So when you take your base of voters and you say vote in person, that's what Trump's people did. When you take your base of voters and Joe Biden phoned it in from the basement, that's what his voters did too. But people were amped up at that time on their side to get him out because they were so mad at the last 4 years. And we thought we had it in the bag because the guy was like, phoning it in from the basement. So I think we took it for granted 2020. And I think that we let these lawmakers put these terrible standards in for voting that allowed Joe Biden to win. And I don't appreciate those lawmakers like Phil Murphy, like Pennsylvania with, forget the former governor's name, Tom Wolf, like they did. I mean, not that Trump was going to win New Jersey in 2020, but we could have won Pennsylvania. Georgia, same thing. We could have won. There's so many instances.
I think we're just disagreeing on the language.
We're disagreeing.
So you're going to say that he won just because that's the amount of votes that they're counting, but we both agree that the integrity of that election
was shot. Yeah, it was. It was.
All right. So let's talk about something else. Let's move on. You're chairman now on the Young Conservatives?
Young Republicans,
Of Rockland?
Rockland County Young Republicans. Yeah, I'm chairman there.
How's that doing?
It's doing great. We just had a voter registration drive. We registered, I think, close to 20 new Republicans. I also made them fill out a form for vote by mail because they're college students. So we did that. We're having a fundraiser on Wednesday. We do all sorts of events. So what I do is I raise about $10,000 every year, and then I fly in Young Republicans from all around the country. People I've met at conventions. I flew down to Georgia twice to do the runoff elections. So I was knocking doors. 9 to 5.
I saw that. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How'd you get involved in that?
I got a phone call from the RNC that they wanted me to come down and help, and they paid me. So I went down. I worked for the NRC.
They paid you.
There.
That's great.
Yeah, and I went down. I tried to get people to come down, but what that created was I stayed in a hotel with like 80 other people that were like just like me, And I took them, and I still talk to them all the time, these people that I met. And I fly them in every year, and they knock on doors for our, local campaigns. And last year they knocked for our congressman, our state senator, and they knock about 5,000 doors in a weekend. So,
oh man,
yeah, cost me about $10,000 because I got to put them up in a hotel and fly them in, and I pay for most meals. So,
but it's not coming out of your pocket. It's from the money that you raise.
Yeah, I raise it. So the candidates help me raise it. Like on the local years, it's easier because you have a lot of candidates. And I asked them all to chip in like $250. I asked them to bring their friends and family to a fundraiser for my club. And they do that. And then I, in turn, bring people back in. And man, they're very happy when I give them the total door number at the end of the weekend.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
How much do you think it comes out to per registration? Like, what do you think it's costing you? Have you gotten down to the?
No,
you don't have it down to the number?
No, I don't have it down to the number.
Has anybody ever done that? I'm very curious.
I don't think so.
What it would cost?
I should do that. I don't really know if I want to sit there and do it, but it's very effective for the candidates, for voter registration, for lawn signs, for everything that a campaign needs. And it's great networking too, because I'm always flying.
I was just going to say that.
People.
Yeah, it's got to be great networking.
It is. I'm always flying in different people. They're always meeting different people. In fact, some of them have become such good friends. They're going on their own trips together and, seeing each other and things like that. So I have a lot of people that come from Chicago, Iowa, Florida. I have people coming from all over. I love bringing young conservative Republican people together, meeting, connecting, and creating really a greater connection between our party and what we can do to help each other in those areas. Because that, at the end of the day, we don't get these candidates in, and these local politicians, state politicians, it's the closest form of government to the people. They have the most effect on your life. And that's where I care mostly, but I help our federal guys too. So, and I try and bring people into the club. Come in, help us out, get involved, come to the social hours, come to the fundraisers. I'll buy a ticket if somebody needs it to a fundraiser. And, I just try and engage people because they could turn around and they could help you in the future. That's kind of my goal.
How many people are in it? Is it like a fraternity?
My club? Yeah. I have a couple of women. I have probably about 5 women, and I have probably about 20, 25 men involved. But we always try and get more women involved because they're always friendlier at the doors, and people feel more inclined to open a door.
So like more approachable. Yeah, definitely
more approachable. Yeah, our guys are mostly just there for the fundraisers and things like that, but they help out too. So
that's good.
But I love
and they get like they canvass between everybody in the club. You guys are canvassing 5,000 a weekend.
Well, that is my local club. So my local club, like the people that live in Rockland County, I don't really make them do it like that, but they help me throughout the year, for all sorts of things. Right now we're going through petitioning to get our candidates on the ballot. And then, last year, when it was a federal year, I flew in all those people. They went through about 5,000 doors in the weekend.
Man, I'll tell you, because I used to work on Wall Street and we did a lot of cold calling.
Oh yeah.
And I think the most amount of calls I ever made in a day was about 500 or just over.
My God.
And that's calling,
yeah.
I can't imagine going to like 5,000, doors.
That's you nuts. Have so many people that can do 100 a day.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Well, you have 25 people. They do 100 a day, 2,500. Then they do Sunday,
right.
2,500.
So
they each do usually 100 a day. Some people slack and other people excel. So
you have any crazy stories?
Oh,
I would I would just love to be a fly on the wall and like see like some of the weirdos that open the door and like strike up like strange conversations with the kids.
Yeah, there are some strange people. I mean, I knock on doors personally. Like I go out and between driving people around and stuff, it's harder for me to get because they don't have a car, obviously.
Right.
So we rent a bigger van or a car, and we pick people and we choose a walk book, and we put 3 or 4 people in the group so that they're somewhere near each other. So I jump out where I can and I help out. But when you get somebody at the door, there are just some strange people. The best of the people that want nothing to do with you at the door. You're there to talk to them about what they can do to go out and vote and help Republicans. And they're, you know, Fox News blaring in their kitchen or their living room, and they, you know, it's pouring rain. You got your raincoat on. You're like, you know, could you sign this to help us get on the ballot? And they're like, no, I don't sign things. They shut the door. Those are the best people, or the people that are blatantly home but don't want to open the door, or the Ring doorbell that I had today. I was knocking doors today to get petitions, and please leave the package on the front doorstep. I'm not here for a package. I know you're home. I see the lights on. I see you moving in there. I get it. Today's day and age in New York and New Jersey, in this area, you know, you never know what's coming to the door with such close proximity to New York City. But you know, Sebastian
Maniscalco.
Yeah, I always bring that clip up. Always
the one where he's talking about, you know, when somebody comes to the door. Yeah,
he says when somebody came to the door in the 80s, your mother brought out the Entenmann's cake and the Sanka.
Yeah, and the coffee cake.
Yeah, and the coffee cake, and you know, oh, come in, I was in the neighborhood, you know. And now you go to, somebody comes to the door and your mother's doing the army crawl on the floor.
Right. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
Grab the machete behind the couch. Grab the knife. Who's at the door?
That's a great skit.
Oh, it's great.
What are some of the issues that most of the people you canvass, the ones that you do get to talk to, what would you say are the three most important issues to them?
Well, I'd say the most important issue to voters in Rockland County, where we are, is the migrant crisis. But we're in a unique situation. So before Eric Adams made his hard shift to the right because he thought he was going to get, you know, indicted. Well, he was indicted. And he thought he was going to go to jail, and he wanted a pardon from Trump. That's how I view Eric Adams, because I still can't stand the man. Before he did that, he was the, you know, Greg Abbott of New York City, trying to ship 167 migrants to Rockland County and put them up in a hotel. 160 middle-aged men between the age of 20 and 60. We have no documents on. We have no information on. We don't know if they're repeat offenders. We don't know if they're first-time offenders. We don't even know, you know, their first names, last names, nothing.
Right.
Tried to ship them to Rockland, put them up at a hotel in Orangeburg. The minute the mayor called the supervisor of Orangetown was the minute she got on the phone with the town attorneys. They sued the hell out of Eric Adams, the county executive Ed Day, the supervisor of Orangetown Teresa Kenny, and the supervisor of Clarkstown George Hellman. Stopped this dead in its tracks. They never came to Rockland. So people were really freaked out by that whole scenario, and they really changed their tune on the migrant crisis. That hit home. That really hit close to home. Then you had, in Clarkstown, Supervisor George Hellman, he ended up hiring more code enforcement officers. So the code enforcement officers will go out, they'll look at houses that are usually run down, were bought in a foreclosure, and they're being bought by people that are renting them out. And, you know, code enforcement officers go to the judge, they get a warrant, search the house, kick in the door, there's 24 migrants living in there. I mean, literally.
That's crazy.
Every week there was a new story. 24 migrants living in a 3-bedroom home, mattresses on the floor, mattresses, you know, on in the basement, in the closet. It was like ridiculous. I mean, they had to go out and hire, I mean, probably 5 more code enforcement officers in each town just to crack down on this. That was number one. It was that issue. Number two.
And what do they do with them once they find them?
They usually contact the law enforcement. They get deported. They get thrown out of the house. The house is, you know, under the, you know, they can't have that. I don't know what happens from there, but they're not living there anymore.
But are they trying to integrate into the community? Like, are the kids trying to are they trying to go to school or anything like that? It's just,
I don't know the backstory.
Do you know where most of them were from?
The migrants?
Yeah.
All over Mexico, you know, Guatemala. I think they had some from all over.
That's crazy.
Over. Yeah, if you look up town of Clarkstown, I mean, you could see the stories from 2023 that they were just every week there was something new, a new migrant house, and usually neighbors. I just would knock on the door Saturday. A lady, you know, house behind me. She's like, you know, we got a problem. We think there's migrants living in there. Oh, and you know, ICE has come to Rockland County before. I think they need to come again because Spring Valley is loaded with with migrants. The village of Suffern is loaded. It's crazy.
And what's the third one?
That was in the town of Clarkstown, where they were cracking down on those illegal housing and the migrant housing. It was really, 24 people living in a 3-bedroom house is not acceptable.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
What's your story now? Like, where do you see yourself going? Do you have any aspirations?
Yeah, probably locally. I'd like to run for maybe a county legislature seat someday, or a state seat potentially someday. I'd love to be up in Albany, cracking heads together and figuring out, what the heck's the problem up there because it's bad. Maybe county office or something like that. I don't know how much I'd like to go down to Congress, but it was a dream of mine to serve in Congress someday. But
when I first met you, I was like, this kid probably wants to be president.
No, I never wanted that. No, because that's you have to practice that almost your whole life, and to have the spotlight on you like that, that's too much for me.
So not even Congress now.
Well, I would, but the problem is the district that I love, Rockland County. I love living there, but the district that I live in, we have a good Congressman, Mike Lawler, Republican. My problem with it is the amount of money that's involved in politics is ridiculous. And not that I wouldn't raise it, but you have to keep raising it. You don't even have time to sit down and solve the problems that are going on in DC. And it's insurmountable. And it's just fundraising every day. Plus, the district that I live in is, it's a swing district. It's tough. I would find it hard to go down to DC and vote against my party line. I would find it hard to vote against my president. I would find it hard to, not vote for everything the majority of the Republicans are voting for. And the fact of the matter is that sometimes you have to make those tough decisions in a swing district because you won't get elected. You won't get reelected if you don't. And that's not me. I am a conservative person. I am a Republican, and I don't want to screw my party on a vote. And you see that around the country. People get mad at all these Republicans. People are so mad at Susan Collins right now. It's not even funny. If Susan Collins wasn't there, we'd be screwed. It wouldn't be a Republican. It would be a Democrat. It's Maine. People got to wake up. Lisa Murkowski's another story. She should be gone. Susan Collins, we're blessed to have. But she's got to make those tough calls. And those aren't tough calls that I want to make because I want to vote my party line.
I understand what you're saying. Because it's tough as a congressman, as a representative, you have to represent the district. And sometimes the district as a whole, the majority doesn't share the values that you do. Yeah. But aren't as the congressman, isn't it sort of an opportunity to, try and influence and promote those values of the Republican Party, like on the district now that you have it, and, campaign not for the money, but, campaign for the promise of a better America, and try and sell the ideology and point out where the locals are going wrong and why the community can hop on board and sort of get on the bandwagon with you.
I agree with you. I think that's more so the job of the political party in the area, is to promote the ideas of the party. The job of the congressman is really just to represent and vote on behalf of constituents. While yes, campaigning is really mostly about the member, the state senator, the congressman, whoever it is. They want to pitch their ideas because without winning, we can't change laws. And, while the pushing the ideology and things like that should be done, it's hard to reach all those nooks and crannies of people in liberal areas to talk to them. It's terrible. Westchester County's in the district that I'm in, and Republicans barely break 40% of the vote there. And we've had great Republicans running. Great people that have gone there, appealed to them, and they can't win there. Rob Astorino was county executive there. He's tried to run a few times after that. Westchester's screwed him over there.
Well, look what's happened in New York. Okay, look what's happened in California especially. Okay, it's a cesspool of bad ideas.
Yep.
And that's why that's why the state's gone to shit.
Yes.
Okay. But, you know, like we were talking about 2020 and how Joe Biden's, you know, presidency really lit a fire under a lot of people's ass, you know, it made them alert, made them aware of what's going on. And, you know, I don't think it was as much, you know, getting involved in the legal aspect of the voting on the Republican side, as much as it was, you know, the actual voters and the populace, you know, being aware and seeing, you know, hey, man, this is not supposed to be, you know, what's happening. It was better before. This is horrible, you know, so they're going off the rails. And California, you know, is the best example. You see what's going on with the fires. You know, you see how Gavin Newsom is just really just, you know, his leadership is horrible, even though he's suave and, you know, he's, I got to hand it to the guy. He's one of the best guys in front of the camera that I've ever seen. Yeah. His charisma is
the most scary part,
second to none. It's crazy. Yeah. It's very scary. He's going to be a very hard candidate to beat if he ever gets in front of somebody for president, you know, to campaign. Okay.
I thought they should have nominated him over Kamala Harris because if they were, if I was a Democrat, 100%. I would rather him, you know, but I'm glad they didn't, you know, because
Me
it
too.
seemed to work out for us.
But the point was, California, New Jersey, New York. I mean, the swing, you know,
there was
the needle has moved so much. I mean, New Jersey right now is a swing state. New Jersey right now is a swing state.
Getting there.
And we really can flip it.
I'll tell you if it's a swing state when I see this November. You know, I want to see how the gubernatorial nominee does in November. You know,
we got 47%.
Yes, with
47
with the Republican in the White House. I want to see how New Jersey votes in the governor's election. I personally think that it's going to be an uphill battle in New Jersey for the governor's election. You have a large primary looming. If we were coalesced behind one candidate, I think it would be easier. But
I agree with you. I think a lot of people are staying out of that. Do you know the candidates? You know, Chitterelli and Spadia?
Yeah, I support Chitterelli. You know, I think he has worked his butt off around this state for the last, you know, however many years, trying to get the nomination. He's got the nomination once before, and he showed he can do it. I think there are tweaks to his campaign that he needs to make, like turning out your base of voters in Sussex and Warren County and your southern counties, you know, and focusing less on the inner cities, because the inner cities aren't going to vote for you. You know, it's better if, you know, there's a lower voter turnout in places like Patterson or Newark, and you know, go up to Sussex County a little more instead of going to, you know, Passaic County once, you know, where Trump won Passaic County, which was amazing. You know,
I thought it was absolutely incredible.
Won the city of Passaic. That was insane. I never ever thought I would see that. So I do think Jack's going to be the nominee. He's winning all these county organization supports. I think it was stupid for Bill Spadia not to participate in those. You know, but
what's your take on Spadia in general?
Because
they got a spat between each other.
Unqualified. What makes you think you can run for governor? You know, what have you done in your adult life that makes you think you can run for governor? You know, I think it's great that he does the radio show and all that, and I think he's a great conservative commentator. But, you know, nobody knows you in the state. What's your appeal? Whether it's a swing state, a blue state, what is your appeal to independents and Democrats? Because, like it or not, you have to win a certain percentage of them over to win the governorship here. And if you don't, you're screwed. Jack has the appeal to all sides. He has the appeal to the base. He has the appeal to the moderate Republicans, to the independents, and to soft moderate Democrats that he can pull into our party or pull in just to vote for him. You know, Bill Spadia, where is his appeal to anybody else other than the base of the Republican Party? Yeah, he sounds great, but can he win New Jersey? I don't think so.
Regarding Jack Chitterelli, what did you think of him not embracing Trump's endorsement the last time around?
I think it's a sticky situation when you're when you're a Republican running in a state like New Jersey or New York. It's tough to, you know, consider taking an endorsement from President Trump in a state like that. Well, you know, I'm sure he wishes he could have taken that in a state like Alabama or Florida. anybody wishes New Jersey was like that, but
But then it would have just been, taking it out of expedience.
Yeah.
Not really, based on the moral fiber of your
Well,
your
a lot of
character.
this isn't decided by the candidate themselves. A lot of this is decided by your campaign team. You sit down and you have a discussion with how could this benefit our campaign, and, while Trump would help bring turnout from Republicans up, would he also simultaneously unknowingly help bring turnout from the Democrats up to vote for Phil Murphy? Because he has a dual effect on both bases of voters. While taking his endorsement would help Republicans in the base realize, oh, I got to go vote, it would also make Democrats in their base go, I got to go vote against this guy. So I do think that that's a tough call. When it comes to Jack not endorsing Trump in 2016 or in 2020, I think in 2016, a lot of people didn't endorse Trump. Some of his best cabinet picks today are sitting in his cabinet that ran against him, Marco Rubio. You can't take everything somebody's done in their past and use it against them.
No, that's a little different. You take that stuff with a grain of salt. It's just politics. You can't take it personally.
It's just politics. If you look at Donald Trump's record from the past politically, the guy's donated to Chuck Schumer. He's donated to Jimmy Carter. So you can't take people's political moves from their past and use it against them. Whereas you take Chris Christie, who I'm not extremely fond of, he's only ever supported Republicans, but does that mean I want Chris Christie to be president over Trump? No, but you can't take people's political decisions in the past and use it against them. And that's what I see people are doing now with why they're supporting Bill Spadea. But nobody can tell me why Bill Spadea should be the nominee. Nobody can tell me, show me a path to victory for Bill Spadea to win the governor's election, and maybe I'll consider supporting him. But as far as right now, I support Jack because Jack can appeal to everybody. The guys, I have never heard a politician. I've heard politicians all over. I've been to conference after conference. I've met senators, congressmen, presidents. I met Trump. I met Bill Clinton once. I met all sorts of people that give speeches. Jack Ciattarelli, when he gives a speech, it's like he's talking to you at his kitchen table.
Yeah, he's a great speaker.
The guy is likable. You can't hate him. He is so likable, and he's embraced Trump now. He's talking about Trump's ideas. He's tweeting about him all the time, or posting about him on Facebook all the time, Instagram. So, well, do I think it's a political move? Possibly for the primary, but I do think it's a good thing that he's talking about.
Probably.
It definitely is. Do I think Bill Spadea is using Trump politically? Absolutely. Do I think Ed Durr has any chance? No.
No.
Why are you running? Some people say he's running because he's, raising a little bit of money to run for state senate again. Ed Durr's not going to win that state senate district again, so he should probably leave politics.
I mean, if the people don't know the name by now, let it go.
Yeah, the ads were terrible against him, and they're just going to pull him up again.
Yeah, so I don't know who it's going to be, Spadea or Ciattarelli. It's probably going to be Ciattarelli. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even have a dog in the fight. I wasn't favoring one or the other. I just wanted to get your take on it. What do you think about
I know that?
What do you think about New York?
New York governor.
Because Hochul,
Hochul's
just an abysmal approval rating. It's absolutely horrible.
Hochul's gone through more lieutenant governors now than New Jersey's had in their entire history.
But we got a good chance because of how bad she's doing.
Oh my God, yeah. Antonio Delgado, her lieutenant governor, has literally just abandoned her. And now she stripped him of his Hudson Valley office, his New York City office, and his Albany office. So you're stripping your lieutenant governor, serving New Yorkers. He's a president of the Senate. You're stripping him of his resources because he just disobeyed you politically. How ridiculous is that? Congestion pricing. People in the suburbs that commute to the city, Bergen County should be pissed. But Rockland and Westchester County, Rockland, Westchester County, where they can vote for this moron, she just totally destroyed her chances in the suburbs. Nassau, Suffolk, Queens. These people have to now pay to go to work in the city. as bad enough as it was on the George Washington. It was, it's just ridiculous on that front. Then you see the crime, the subway, everything she does, she goes to shit. She's terrible. Now, Mike Lawler, congressman from Rockland County, and Westchester and Putnam and Dutchess, he's probably more than likely, from what I see online, from what I hear him talk about and I hear him speak, I could see him running for governor. That guy, I saw a poll. Mike is a friend of mine. I saw a poll.
Yeah, you used to work for him, right?
I worked for him, yeah. I worked for him for about a year and a half. And I saw a poll that had him like neck and neck with her. And the race hasn't even started. I hopefully will be unseated in November. Now, the primary will shake out to be interesting on the Republican end of things. I hear all sorts of names being thrown in the mix, but I think Mike Lawler has a clear path if he wants it, and he is a great public servant. He'd be a great governor. I hope if he
Have you spoken to him?
I've spoken to him. Yeah, I've spoken to him when I see him at different things. He's also the chairman of the Rockland Republican Party. So okay. He, still in the decision phase. He says he'll decide by, who knows, the spring, summer. I'm sure he's weighing a lot of things out, because being congressman is no, light thing, to consider ruling out serving in Congress, because I know he does a great job there. So I hope he decides to do it. I think he's the best candidate that we have. And then you have New York City mayor, where Andrew Cuomo is running again for God knows what reason, but I can't even blame him, because Eric Adams is so terrible.
Why wouldn't he? He's going to be a good candidate. Everybody knows his name.
Yeah, but his history is not so good in the state, But people love him still. I don't know why they do. I hope Curtis Lewa kicks his ass, but it's a tough battle down there. We'll see what happens.
I thought Curtis Lewa had his chance last time, and I don't even think it was close.
No, it wasn't. Every time you turn around, New York City, their mayor is so bad, but something happens that doesn't put them on the ballot. Like Eric Adams this time, he's not going to be on the general election ballot because Andrew Cuomo's in the race. Andrew Cuomo probably will. Bill de Blasio was, termed out last time. I thought Curtis could have beaten Bill, but not the new guy. So it's tough with New York City, but hopefully we pick up some council seats this year, because that's how you get back at the mayor.
Right.
And there are some great Republicans down there.
So what's on the horizon for you? You have any calls to action or anything like that for anybody?
I would say that resources this year, if somebody's interested in getting involved, want to go somewhere and help a candidate out, as partisan as I am to New York, the two states that I would get involved in this year if I had the time are New Jersey and Virginia. Keeping the governorships in both of those, keeping the governorships in Virginia is key. But flipping the governorship in New Jersey, which Scott Presler is out there doing a phenomenal job, is essential.
Yeah, that's good. He's got his, what is it? The earlyvoteaction.com.
Yep, earlyvoteaction.com. I talked to him recently. He's doing a great job between Pennsylvania. I mean, he literally helped us win Pennsylvania.
Oh, absolutely.
Phenomenal job. If he could do that in New Jersey, I mean, how great would that be? How
many votes did he get us? He got us like 50,000 in Pennsylvania, or was it more than that?
Number,
like a quarter of a million?
He flipped a county for us,
Yeah.
I forget what county, but he flipped.
He did absolutely amazing. Yeah. And now he's coming to Jersey. I saw one of the things that he's focusing on in Jersey, I think, is the gun owners.
Yeah.
So he has, or he quoted, what was it? 250,000 gun owners aren't even registered.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And they're all like Republicans.
Too. Yep. Same thing in New York. Same thing. These people are all Republicans. They don't vote. We got to make sure everybody's registered and everybody gets out to vote this year in New Jersey, because that governorship is key. And the Democrats are all eating each other apart. Gottheimer's in the race. You have Mikey Sherrill, Steve Sweeney. I hope to God Steve Sweeney's the nominee, because they can beat that guy. Gottheimer's got an endless war chest of money that he's raised from the Problem Solvers Caucus that he's in Congress, which I don't know why there even is a Problem Solvers Caucus in Washington, D.C. That should be the 435 members of Congress, but I guess he just likes to fundraise for himself. So Gottheimer's in, and Mikey Sherrill would be hard to beat. Those two would be hard to beat. But Steve Sweeney, Ed Durr beat him. I think anybody can. You know, Steve Sweeney's terrible. That would be great. That would be a great nominee for the Democrats for us to beat, Steve Sweeney.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, or Ross Baraka or any of these guys that, you know, think they have a chance. Steve Fulop. It's great.
Well, listen, Aiden, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to have you. Thank you. And look, you're a rising star in the Republican Party. All the best to you, and good luck to you in the future, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Thank you.